Hi, I'm Kelly Barkhurst with Designer to Full Stack, and today we're looking in WordPress and why you might have an inconsistency between a mobile and a desktop menu. So this site was designed by GoDaddy. There were some pages added under our services, and the client said, I can't get there when I go to mobile. All right. So when I go to mobile, I'm not seeing those same pages. This video is to walk you through why might you not be seeing it and how can we fix it. First, I thought this was going to be really simple, but there actually are multiple layers. So hopefully this might help you troubleshoot dependent on what your issue might be and why you found this video. The first thing is going to be that when you make a subpage, it is easy to forget to actually make it a subpage. So a subpage has this hyphen in front of it. If I'm looking at Safety Leadership Pathway and I click Quick Edit, I can see its parent is the main page. So I actually want to put that under our services. And now that means it really is embedded under our services. The same with speaking engagement. We're going to quick edit it and put it under speaking, under our services. So that's one of the first things. Is my page really a subpage? Now, what I do want to point out about that change is when I change that, it now has changed the URL. So now I'm in a directory of our services where before it was just Safety Leadership Pathway. So you will need to create a redirect. I have redirects automatically set up, and that is created. If you do not, then you'll need to do that. The next thing is looking at our menus. Menus are under appearance menus. So one of the easiest things, and is probably likely why it was missed, is there's always this select a menu to edit up at the top, and you normally have multiple ones. So likely you only updated one. So you click select and now you'll see your new one. Now, what I can see is that this footer menu is the one that is being shown in mobile and not this main one. So that feels like something else is happening altogether. So let's take a look at that. This is under Beaver Builder. And I can see here, I just have one our services. If I come into customizing, I can see that here's my footer menu. And if I add items, this is another way I can add it. And I say publish. Now I can change my responsive view down there at the bottom. And now I can see I have enterprise leadership pathway focus. So I can see the problem is my footer menu is what is associated with my mobile view. So that's not ideal. All right, let's see if we can fix this. So now I've come into my Beaver Builder. I have a footer site-wide, and I can see that I actually have multiple menus here. I've selected this horizontal menu. And I can see it's definitely the footer menu. Go into responsive. Submenu icon, that's my arrow. This menu is always displayed on mobile and nowhere else. This menu is always displayed on extra large, large, and medium, but not on mobile. So that's kind of the switch. And they're both set up as the footer menu. In our footer menu, we want not drop down. So if we come into menus, footer menu, and we want to pull, we can kind of drag, and we're going to add one more item. So we have safety leadership 2. And now we will publish and save. What that update should have done is in the footer, we now have all of our pages as a list and no drop down. So that's appropriate. And because it's the same footer menu, when we scale down, it should now stack. So that is also what we wanted. Now, what we'll find isn't what we want is when we open, because this is still the footer, they're just all there. So that might be okay, but we might actually want our mobile menu to be the same as our desktop menu. So let's see how we could do that. I'm in Beaver Builder, a theme layout. I've chosen this header site-wide, and I'm going to launch. We can see that this menu is selected as main menu, submenu, icon, arrows. If we go into advanced, we can see that it is shown on all breakpoint, which is a little bit confusing to me, but let's take a look. As I investigate, I can see that if I come into my small breakpoint, I actually have this UABB Off-Canvas module, and it is showing a saved row, this thing called header row do not delete. So that's what we want to look at next. So I've come into Beaver Builder, saved rows, I've searched header, and I get to this header row do not delete. I'm going to go into Beaver Builder. This is where that menu is coming from. So if I click here, I can see it is showing me my footer menu, and I really want the main menu to be what is being shown from my hamburger menu. All right. So now we can set a submenu icon arrows. Maybe we can do a plus sign, and that should allow us vertical. We'll use the arrow. All right, so let's say done, publish. So this should have solved our issue for us. Let's take a look. All right, we should have the drop down from our desktop and tablet. Now, when we move into mobile, beautiful. It is the same menu now. If we scroll down, we have a footer menu that doesn't have drop downs. It just has all the main content. All right, beautiful. So just to recap, what we solved is we needed to update the mobile menu. The client said, hey, those new pages aren't showing up on the mobile menu. And then we had to go down a rabbit hole of the mobile menu was linked into a unique row in Beaver Builder. We also needed to change parent associations for each of the new pages, as well as connect and change the look for the responsive mobile design. All right, so hopefully this helped, and a portion of it maybe solves whatever problems you're running into. Happy designing. So as always, I ask what brought you joy today. Today, my little one's giggles and smiles eating yogurt at the table made me really joyful.